We should design buildings that are loved and that they will last for a long time. That's the most sustainable thing that you can imagine. I hope to think that that's something we share with the architects. And in Arab we talk about total design. Over Arab many years ago he spoke about total architecture. And what that means is that everything comes together, and we shouldn't be just sitting and discussing the facade. I appreciate that this is a facade event, but it's the building, okay? And so the facade is where the performance sits, and therefore it's relevant to discuss it at this table. I'd like to take it back to skills and competencies. So that we don't talk about engineers that are just looking at U values or whatever, but they are actually able to engage with the architects, and so that we get an informed dialogue. And instead of talking about multidisciplinary, some of us are starting to talk about transdisciplinary, where you're actually working in a completely free way. That has some challenges in terms of contracts. But I think we need to focus on that rather than just improving the U value.
So if Arab is saying we're talking about total design, it's exactly the original meaning of design. I ask myself, finally, it's always people who are acting, and so we are in education, we are in profession. So do we need something? Can we create something like an archineer?
I don't think the name is as important as the mindset. It's taking what they learn from the classroom and then believing it and taking it outside the classroom, and then working with it and living with it. Too many people, well, I'd say half the class, they come in, they learn, I think that's fine, and they go back to work, the pressures of work overtake whatever they've learned, and they don't implement all of it, and that, I think, is a big issue.
But how would we start to influence the mindset?
So, start at the top.
Yeah. Do we start at the politic? So at the top, do we have to start in kindergarten? Where is the mindset developed?
Is the politics at the top?
I don't know. What is the top? What is the top?
I guess now we're seeing that politicians cannot solve the problems. I mean, there are some other bigger powers.
So economy.
Yeah.
But I think education is also a deal. I have a friend in Switzerland, and his kids, 6 and 8, they know who Le Corbusier is. I didn't know that in that age. Why? I asked them. It was teach them at school, at art. And in Germany, for me, who was always interested in art and engineering and technique, I never heard something about architecture till higher grades in school. So for, let's say, the standard education, there is no architecture education. There's no awareness for art or architecture. There's also the question of how do we do things right, and there was already the answer of the 300% tax on cars. But there's always two sides you can look. There's reward or punishing. If you park wrong, you have to pay 50 euros. Yeah. In the Netherlands. In Germany, I park in the middle of the street, it's 5 euros. I don't care. It's so low. But you can also get 20% back if you give this bottle back, which will reduce the impact. So, and I even enlarge this, at the end it's all about fun. The architecture and the technology we are introducing, designing and using should be fun. And if you ask the guys buying hybrid cars, if they're really answering honestly, they say it goes much faster than any petrol. And they don't want to save the planet. Maybe in the second place, at the end, we are all saving the planet by that. But at the moment, they are cheaper. They're more expensive, but they're more fun. And that's why they buy it. It's not because they are, at the end, if you push this further, they have to produce so much of these that they become really cheap, and that's the only chance you get, that everyone can have fun.
That's a question of the risk. Who has the risk of the costs? So we have to change the mentality of building. You have to look at the cost for 100 years. And perhaps it would be cheaper to have a good isolation, good windows, than a cheap building. The relation between isolation costs and oil, that's the question you told, punishing. high prices for oil are punishing. And perhaps one aspect is architects have to calculate the costs the next years to argument the decisions for better greenhouses.
The next driver, if you would break it down on economy aspects, the next big economy will be based on life quality enhancement in every part of circumstance. So sports, health, I don't know.
So the point is,
our buildings and architects, the built environment should be linked to this aspect.
so it is superhuman.
It's superhuman, probably. Yeah. Maybe yes.
We started up with asking, are we green? How green are we? And as a researcher, I feel joy if I really can do something better. If I can improve a building or a material, or if I can save energy.